Welcome back, everyone. This is the Angry Chicken for Tuesday, September 18th. I don't know why I'm saying dates. I don't usually do that. But yes, we're here. We're here to talk about Hearthstone. And oh, there is so much Hearthstone to talk about. But with me, as always, is Willie Dills Gregory, Jocelyn Moffat. Didn't say my own name because I'm already tilted. Garrett Wines Earl.
Tilted 2 minutes in.
Yeah, actually like 30 seconds. Yeah. Although I don't know. This is with music, so maybe longer. Probably a lot closer. But yes, welcome back, you two. How you doing?
Good. Been actually having a lot of fun playing Hearthstone lately. And watching Hearthstone has been a lot of fun for me lately. The HCT was pretty damn good. And also, I like the fact that we don't have to watch players pretend to care about winning anymore, right? Like, you just get your 4 guys and then we just all move along with our lives.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you get your 4 qualifiers and everybody says, cool, we're good. We don't have
Moving on.
Big game anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. There were some crazy games. Deathstalker Rexar is a pretty good card that can win you games from pretty much anywhere. But I've been playing Res Priest, which has been a lot of fun.
What
Res
is
Priest
your
with hold on, wait, let me find the
I was
deck
gonna
list.
say, to the best of your ability, explain this deck to the audio crowd.
So it's Mind Blast, Velen, Malagos thing, right? But it's running the whatchamacallit, the cloning gallery.
Okay.
No way.
9 mana, the 9 mana make all of the guys come back thing. Zarek's cloning gallery.
The thing that everyone thought would be super OP, but hasn't seen much play at all since Boomsday.
It is really good, actually.
I was so excited about cracking that card, and then I could not make it work. So you're running Velen, you're running Malagos, you're running Cloning Gallery. Okay.
So you're running Gilded Gargoyles to get you coins, that then help you do things like Psychic Scream earlier, or they help you get your lesser diamond spellstones to become greater diamond spellstones to resurrect 4 minions. You run Radiant Elementals, obviously. So when this is like what's really cool is that when you on 9 mana, you can be at like 2 health. Zarek's Cloning Gallery, summon a Malagos, a Velen, a Radiant Elemental, like a Lyra, a Lich King, a bunch of stuff. I did this multiple times against like Zoo. And then your Spirit Lashes cost 1 and then heal you to full. So you kill everything on the board. They'll do like 12 damage to everything.
Okay.
And heal you to 30. So like it's this 10 mana combo, like you're losing and then you're not losing anymore all of a sudden.
Like a big reset button.
yeah, huge reset button. And then the next turn you like diamond spellstone all your stuff back. And suddenly you're in there. So I went 12-3 with the deck. I had so many games I was like, I'm gonna lose this game. Oh, never mind, I win. It was crazy. It was awesome.
Oh man.
It's also got the only minions are Lyra, Ziliax, Elemental, Gargoyle, Velen, Lich King, Malagos. So you have 7 minions.
All right, this is on the fly, but I have managed to find what looks to be a very similar deck list to what you were talking about on HS Replay. So I'm just going to drop a link to that at the very top of the show notes so that listeners at home who I am assuming are going, holy crap, this sounds amazing, can go and find this deck list.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've seen some other people have been playing it on their streams here and there. It's not a super popular deck by any means, but I was ranked 4 when I started, and I'm now ranked 2. I went 12-3. So
damn, dude.
I'm playing at decently high ranks with it, and I'm beating odd rogues and zoo locks and even locks and all kinds of stuff with it. So it's cool.
You got to teach me how to play this.
Yeah, turns out Psychic Scream is really good. Just really, really good.
It's kind of a strong card.
Yeah, I highly. But the cool thing about this deck is I was getting a little bit sick of playing Odd Rogue, a little bit sick of playing. Even Quest Rogue was feeling all fun and new to me again, and then it kind of got tired. Well, I mean, because it was like, oh wow, this works again. Holy crap! And it's and it's got some really cool plays. It's like an interesting deck to play. But even then, I was like, getting kind of sick of it. And then this deck just kind of, I was like, I have a priest quest. Is there a priest deck that works? Yeah, it worked. At least it worked yesterday. Who knows about today?
All right.
That sounds super fun because like that's been my big problem. I've kind of bounced around to a couple of like the good meta decks. I even went and tried like Token Druid and stuff, and I was winning, but I wasn't really having a lot of fun. And I was like, for some reason this Boomsday meta, I haven't clicked with a deck the way that I have in the past, and it's probably because like the decks that I'm enjoying playing are often hunter decks. I've always really understood that class. I really enjoy playing that class. But now I have my golden hunter. So I am like forcing myself out of the hunter lane into other lanes to try to get the rest of my golden heroes. And I'm just, I don't know, not feeling it. So
I've been struggling a little bit. Yeah, I've been struggling a little bit as well. It's the lowest in the ranks I have sat for a long period of time, in a very long period of time. And it's because I feel like I'm at odds between wanting to have fun and wanting to climb. But if I can go 12 and it sounds like you may have found something, dude. Like you've really piqued my interest with this deck list. So
yeah.
I'm always worried about recommending
just go. Like this is what I do is like when I stream, I just go to HS Replay and I see what is kind of like at the top. And generally it's the same thing that it's been for a while, right? And then I click over on trending and I go, all right, well, what's happening over here? Is there anything new and interesting? And if there is something new and interesting, I just like go, all right, 15 games with this. And like kind of what I'm doing a couple things. It's like I want to know the meta as far as, okay, these are the top decks, but I also want to know like what are the decks I'm going against? How am I going to play these other decks? Rather than getting locked into one deck, I'm trying to learn all of them so I could see it from all sides, right? And then I feel like I know how to play against this deck. Like if someone were to come against me with Priest now, I would kind of know what to expect, which like I think one of the reasons I went 12-3 is a lot of people were just super confused as what was happening.
I went up against this deck and I totally thought that it was going to be some sort of combo thing. Like it played like Radiant Elemental on 2 and I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. No spells for you, mister. And then I was just like, oh, wait, rezzing things? What is happening right now? And I just won because he managed to not have a Psychic Scream.
Well, yeah, that's pretty key to being able to come back with this deck. But like I said, there's also the cloning gallery / Spirit Lash play, which is just insane. I also had a bunch of games where I won just because I got Ziliax onto the board, and then I res Ziliax, and then like one of the biggest plays you can have with this deck is the 6 mana make a 5/5 from your deck. When that makes Ziliax, you get a 5/5 Ziliax, and then he heals you for 10. Right? You get the taunt and the life shield. Yeah. Or in the life steal, excuse me.
You said life shield or
life shield. I combined.
Well, he's got a shield.
I think that sounds super cool. I'm not going to correct it.
Life taunt shield brush.
That's what it should say on him. It's just like
he's got a life shield and rush
and taunt and magnetic.
Yeah.
Somebody
he's got too many words.
Angry Chicken listeners, I challenge you to combine all of Ziliax's terms into one word that actually kind of works and is readable, and tweet it at TAC Podcast. Please.
New keyword.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, sweet. Gonna play this. Definitely gonna play this. Looks good. So there's more Hearthstone to talk about than we thought there was going to be today. So everyone ready to get into news?
Yeah, we need to.
Let's do it.
Bad news, everyone.
Oh, no.
If ever I was going to use that, today is the day.
I think there's a lot of good news in here.
I think there's a lot of okay news and some really just terrible news.
Well, there's one piece of horrible news.
It was split down the middle, I feel.
Really? What else is bad here?
There's a bunch of good news that doesn't affect us, or I assume the majority of our listeners.
Okay.
Is that fair?
No.
Okay,
I don't
fine.
think so.
Fine.
I think actually tons of this stuff affects all of our listeners. There's one piece of bad news here. I'm trying to figure out what else is bad.
Okay.
I guess Paladin getting a hero. There's other classes that probably need one since he has 2.
Are fair. I don't know. A lot of the and let's get to what's actually going on. So if somehow you missed it, because it is relatively new, like this news broke a couple of hours before today's show. There's a new post up on the official Hearthstone website called Hearthstone in the Works, and apparently this is going to be a new type of post that we will see with some sort of regularity that lets us know what's going on in Hearthstone and what's upcoming. And in this summary, the first three kind of sections are State of the Meta, Cards to Watch, and Wild Balance, to which, for the case of this show, if you've been listening, if you're up to date on Angry Chicken, there is nothing new in these three sections. They're just recaps of basically what Ixar had to say during the Gamescom stream, which we talked about 3 weeks ago. I think, yeah. Basically, the meta is good. They're looking at Giggling Inventor, but no changes are planned, and they have no idea what to do with Wild.
This is kind of my first chunk of what I think is kind of bad news, because it's like there seem to be some real issues with people who are playing the game a lot, and they may not be issues for people who aren't playing as often. But when you have all of your pro players saying one thing and all of your wild players saying one thing, and then you come out and say, but we're not actually going to change any of that, that feels real bad to me.
But I challenge you to tell me who all of these pro players, I'm not hearing this. I'm hearing Firebat say, I'm playing three servers for the first time in forever because I'm loving this meta. I'm hearing Zalay say, this is one of the best metas we've seen in a while as far as competition is concerned, because there's less RNG than there ever has been. More of the games are coming down to skill and planning and taking correct lines. I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback from pros. And this latest tournament, the HCT, had some of the best games ever. We're watching also a guy like Just Saying prove that good Hearthstone play is rewarded right now. I'm seeing the opposite that you're seeing, I guess. I guess we're just listening through two different
following different people or something. I don't know.
Because DreamHack looked like it was super successful as far as the competitive meta was concerned. This latest tournament looked like it was super successful. Good play was rewarded, and there was lots of different decks. There was people who had aggressive lineups, people had controlling lineups. There was, a ton of weird new stuff. One guy brought 4 Mechathoons in his line. There's a lot of interesting weird stuff going on, so it seemed fine. This to me was good news, because I'm like, okay, that means us with our circumstantial data, which is all we ever have as players, right, is, well, this is how it feels, are they're looking at the data and they're saying, no, that's actually not correct. It's not working out that way. There's a lot of decks. Druid isn't the top. Warlock isn't the top. There's lots of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And they did say, okay, there are these decks that are coming, they're out in front, but every class does have something viable. And I think that's, if you're Hearthstone, that's what you want, right? You want that to be that. They look at that and they think that's a healthy meta. We might think differently, but.
Well, and I think there's a conversation to be had there too. A lot of the points that you just made, and I know Firebat aside, but a lot of the points that you made were specific to tournament meta. And you're right. I think the tournaments have had a lot of variety in them. They've been had a lot of games and a lot of consistent play, and all the stuff we talked about last week has been very obvious. But I think that playing on the ladder, at least, doesn't feel the same. And if you go to HS Replay, it's all the super aggressive stuff is all the tier 1 stuff, and I feel like that's what I'm running into all of the time. And it just, ladder doesn't feel, when you're trying to climb. And we had this whole conversation in Slack before the show about how we should be playing for funsies and maybe not trying to climb to find the fun again in Hearthstone. But if you are playing to climb right now, it just isn't a great experience. And I think that there are two different metas and conversations to have here. And I think the problem is, if you do decide to make nerfs to shake up the ladder, that might screw over your tournament meta. So then what is more important? Do you want a good ladder experience? Do you want a good tournament experience? They're kind of in the same competitive space right now because ladder is tied directly into like HCT and into accumulating points. So can you even make changes without just screwing your whole system? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like it feels bad right now.
I think there's also a camp of thought that the majority of Hearthstone metas have gone through a cycle of having a change in the middle that kind of freshen things up. That there are some players out there who would. Yeah. There's players out there, and I'm one of them who wouldn't mind just seeing change in the middle of releases just to freshen things up, just to kind of shake the meta up. I'm personally not completely sick of this meta yet. I'm getting there. It feels like it has more or less settled, even though you, Dills, have shown up with a deck I haven't seen today, and I'm very excited to go play. But I'm getting there, and I can kind of just, I feel like we've been through this before because we have. This is just how Hearthstone rolls out. It kind of settles. We all eventually get bored or annoyed at something, and a change comes through. If there is no change on the horizon, which reading this looks to be the case, those of us who are not new to the game kind of think to ourselves, okay, so I'm going to be playing the same game for a few months is I think where some of the tension comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am not trying to minimize your experience if you're saying like I'm not having fun. I just want to also be a little bit careful about saying I'm not having fun, therefore nobody's having fun.
Oh, no, I'm not.
I'm having a blast, right? And I see people, like somebody in chat just posted, the meta is skill intensive. That means for 99% of players, it's no fun. Like that's the kind of statement I really don't want to be like supporting or even like if that comes in. If you're like for 99% of players, it's this. Like, who are you to say that?
Yeah, and
are
that's,
you 99% of players? Because that's the only person who could say that. Like if Team 5 is seeing a big problem, they would say that because they have done that in the past. They've said there is a problem, and then they've fixed the problem. If they're telling me that there's no problem, that everything is pretty even, and there's lots of variety on the ladder, I tend to believe them because in the past they have fixed the problem when there's a problem, right? So, to me, like when I see this news, I think, oh, that's good. I guess we're wrong. Like maybe I need to, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm not having fun, maybe it's because I'm getting bogged down in something. Maybe I'm
thinking about things the wrong way.
Yeah, like if I'm only remembering every time I see odd rogue, and then I look at my stats and I'm like, oh, I actually only faced 3 odd rogues in 15 games. Like, I guess that's not that crazy because I have in the past played 50% shamans. There's been metas where I was like, okay, literally everybody is playing mid-range shaman, right? And like to me, that was worse. That was a problem. Yeah. Like right now, I look at my stats and I'm like, oh, look at that. Like there's a lot of different colors on my little pie chart.
But then like, okay, so if you remember the 3 games against Odd Rogue, for example, even though they were 3 of 20, that's not a huge number of games. But if you remember playing against those and it was a bad experience, then maybe is that a deck that needs to be looked at? Because if it's all about feel and experience and those games are sticking out even though it's not 50%, maybe that needs to be looked at. And I don't know what the odd rogue like slot in deck of choice here, whatever the bad stick out in your head deck is, maybe that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, and to me, like when I try to climb, to me my biggest critique of the current ladder experience is that it feels very rock paper scissors to me. And this was brought up with Ixar on the Gamescom stream. He said, we tend to look at things if there are matchups with 30% win rates, and I'm looking at what the data available to me on something like HS Replay, and seeing that there's with a lot of popular decks there are frequent matchups that are getting close to a 30%. Even looking at
I don't know. I kind of look at it as this is a card game. There's going to be a meta. Like when I play Magic right now, Magic Gathering Arena and Standard, there's like 2 decks. It's like blue-white control and red-black aggro. And that's like all anybody's playing. I'm like, at least in Hearthstone, there's 9 decks. Like it's to me, I guess I just look at things a little bit differently than I think a lot of, like, I do understand too. A lot of Hearthstone players, this is their first card game. This is the only card game they play. to them, like, Hearthstone gets compared to AAA titles all the time. Like, why can't I just pay $60 and have the game forever? And it's just, it's like, this is how card games kind of work. People figure out what's the best and they go with it. So like, I'm more of the mind of, yes, I want to change just because I like a change in the middle of the meta to just change things up. But I'm also not like doom and gloom right now. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's actually okay. Like I'm the guy holding the sign like, it's actually okay.
and I'm fine, and I'm not arguing that. And if the dire piece of news in this update was not here,
yeah,
I was more or less feeling the same way you were. That overall, this is good. Like, this is an unprecedented meta that we find ourselves in with so many viable decks. Whether there are extremely polarized matchups for most of them, the fact that there are this many decks that have the potential to climb at the rate that they are is amazing and a hell of an accomplishment by Team 5. I will not take that away.
It's better than it's been in a long time. And like I've heard a lot of, like, Kibler said that recently in one of his videos where he talked about should there be change or whatever. But I think his sentiments were also like, I think there should just be change because it's a card game and we should just change things periodically. Yeah. Like, that's just how I agree with that.
Yeah.
I will say that if they don't make a change at all in this entire 4-month span, then by the end I'm going to be annoyed. I'm going to be like, okay, 4 months of nothing happening. That's not going to be very cool. So I think they should just make a change just to make a change. But I'm also not like calling for the end of the world here, like some people seem to be doing. So, like when I see this news, to me, I'm not like, oh, that's awful, terrible. What the hell is wrong with you, Team 5? I do just think, okay, cool, guy, I get you. That's good. Yes, and we should probably make, like I think I would love to see, like I agree with his statement that, okay, we wanted a strong neutral taunt minion because it slows the game down, makes things more interesting. Games last longer, blah, blah, blah. That I agree with, but then I also am like, yes, and let's just shake some things up,
Yeah, I like it right now, but in 2 months, am I gonna like it? Like hoping that my opponent doesn't have a Blood Knight? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, then there's also the whole other discussion too around all of this, which is the wild conversation, which I think wild more so than standard has some really big things that probably should be looked at to be nerfed. And their statement, which is the same as Ixar's from Gamescom, that they literally have no idea what wild should be. Just it must be so off-putting for wild players. Like, I don't want to sweep wild under the standard rug here and not talk about it, because I think that these statements are kind of crappy if you're a wild player. Like, I mean, what feels bad, and they're just like, we don't know what to do.
but if it's honest, do we, like, I don't want them to not say anything. I would rather know that the feeling in the room is we're not sure, it could go either way. I respect that, because in my head I feel the same way too. I'm like, do I want it completely off the walls bonkers? I'm leaning that direction. Or do I want it to be curated and kept an eye on the same way that standard is? There's merits to both sides. I would say I would direct everyone to last week and say, how about unnerfing some cards? That sounds really interesting.
I actually read this statement as a positive one too, as we are very we want to take action. We don't want to take the wrong action, right? To me, that was like a very measured, smart type of thing to say. Like, yeah, we understand that it's not perfect, so we would love to do something to make it more perfect. I was playing a lot of Wild last night, and I know everyone talks about, and I've been playing a lot of Wild this season. I know everyone talks about, oh my god, the friggin'
Juicy Psych
Melon is just the most broken card ever, and AK-47 Druid is broken. I was playing that deck, and I feel like I'm getting countered pretty hard right now. Because it's the deck, it's like the only deck I play. I really like that deck. Last night I was playing against tons of Tempo Mage who screws you over because they play like Potion of Polymorph before you combo, and then like you play your Aviana and it turns into a friggin' sheep, or like they counter spell counters all your big giant spells. It feels like people are reacting to it. It's not as big of a problem as like Naga Sea Witch was. And I play a lot of Wild. I remember that I remember
was gonna
being
say,
like, that's terrible.
where are you playing in Wild right now? Like on the Wild ladder?
I'm between like rank 7 and 5.
Okay, because what I've heard, and I don't play Wild, let alone high legend or high ladder Wild, but what I've seen is a lot of people making the claim that once you hit, and it's always been a problem that you face the same people the higher up in the ladder you get.
That's just been a wild problem forever. Yeah.
But then what they're also saying now is that once you get kind of close to legend and into legend, this Druid deck is all that you see. That's it. It's just mirror match after mirror match after mirror match, and same person after same person after same person, all playing this Druid. What did you call it? The AK-47 deck?
AK-47, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So that might be a problem.
Yes, and again, that is kind of true, but also it's basically that deck and then people who are countering that deck right now. And yeah, it's a meta warping deck, so it's something that should be considered because of that. But right, like to me, honestly, what I think is the problem is that they've got this format that not enough people are playing.
Yeah.
Like when you have that small of a user base, the trends are, like imagine, if you're looking at the fashion trends of like a high school where like one girl, the popular girl wears Ugg boots and then everybody wears Ugg boots, or you look at the fashion trend of the entire country, like there's going to be lots and lots of variety in the entire country, but within this like small pocket, there's only this many people playing Wild and they all seem to freaking know each other. And so like when one deck becomes good, everybody starts doing it. And
so then it speaks to the bigger problem of Blizzard.
There's not enough people.
Yeah,
there's not enough Wild
should be
players.
getting more Wild players.
Yeah. Which to me means that the format just saying, okay, we're turning all the cards on doesn't make for an interesting enough format. Right. So for me, it's like, I don't know if the cards are the problem. I think maybe Wild needs to be way different from standard. Like, what if in Wild we got 40 health and 45 cards? You know what I mean? Like, what if you just made Wild a completely different thing?
I like the idea of increasing the deck size because the pool of cards is just so huge, right? It would be nice if you could include more of those cards in Wild, and you're right, that would set it totally aside from standard. I think there are a lot of things they could potentially do in Wild that would entice more players to move over to that format. But even the fun and interesting factor, that I still feel like we need to tie some sort of competitive something to it. And they're trying it with HGG, with the whole idea of cheering and giving money to the teams and stuff. I would love to see if for some reason Hearthstone doesn't have the money to put behind Wild, which I call bullshit on that, but whatever. But like, assuming that Hearthstone doesn't have the resources to make Wild a payout competitive format, then try something that's community funded. Have the community buy cosmetics and put money into a Wild pool and do the Wild competition that way. But the fact that we have no Wild competition means that player base is always going to be smaller, and that sucks.
Yeah. And shout out to my buddy Slizzle, who's trying to do that on his own with us, with a bunch of other Wild players. Like, they're putting on these Wild tournaments themselves. Shouldn't have to do that.
No, they shouldn't have to. They should have Blizzard support 100%.
Yeah.
I think that might be the overarching theme of this episode.
Sure. This is what Magic does so well, is lets the player base come up with a format and then starts to support it, right? Like, and obviously in Magic, it's a lot easier because you can literally just sit with the cards and be like, well, what do we want to do? And with Hearthstone, everything has to run through their client. So we can't, if we had a sandbox mode and we could figure out, a format, and then suddenly that got popular, and then Blizzard was like, oh, look at this cool thing that this person came up with. That would be so sweet. I would friggin' love that. And I feel like that's what Wild kind of needs, right? It just needs to be different and supported, right? And it just being like, yeah, it's just this place where all the cards are turned on. That doesn't.
So that you guys didn't get mad when we, rotated out your sets.
Sure. And they keep saying, oh, that's where you get to play your old fun deck. Like, oh, because I loved Jade Druid so much, right? It's like, that's not how it works. We're gonna be like, okay, I'm sorry. It's not what we're going to use it for.
Well,
we're going to try to win.
We got a lot more to cover. There's new cards. There's new cards. The classic set is getting new cards to sort of fill the gaps left by cards that were sent into the Hall of Fame. Mage getting 2, as a matter of fact. They're getting one called Icicle, which is a 2-mana epic mage spell. Deals 2 damage to a minion. If it's frozen, draw a card.
Boo.
I've always wanted Freeze Mage to be a thing. You're not going to put this in your deck, but you might be able to.
Freeze Mage gets some support.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool because Discover exists. You don't put this in your deck on purpose.
Yeah, this is just going to happen sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mage also got Tome of Intellect, a 1-mana common mage spell. Reads, add a random mage spell to your hand.
Yep, same thing.
Yep.
I'm putting this in my deck on purpose.
And then Warlock and Rogue got basically the same cards. Warlock got Call of the Void, a 1-mana common Warlock spell that reads, add a random demon to your hand. And Rogue got Pilfer, a 1-mana common spell that reads, add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. So Tome of Intellect, Call of the Void, Pilfer, all adding random cards to your hand, but with flavor based around the class that it's for.
They basically just said, here's 4 cards that if you're a new player, you might want to use because we don't have anything better. If you're anybody else,
except Icicle because it's an epic and a bad card.
You just don't care about these cards at all. Rogue has a 1-mana Discover a card from your opponent's class right now. So I guess when that rotates out, maybe I want to put this Pilfer card in, but no, probably not.
Yeah.
But the one piece of good news about this is that they are adding new cards in the middle of an expansion cycle to the classic set even. So
that's a good precedent.
This might not be nerfs or buffs or whatever, but they're doing things outside of the expansion rotation, which, the new year of the whatever had previously been like when we saw Hall of Fame happen. This is like doing stuff not in April. Huzzah! Yeah. We've made some progress.
Yes.
Well, to me, what this also represents, to me that we can start rotating larger chunks of cards and adding cards to Classic. Mm-hmm. This is like this is dipping our toe into that, which to me is like, I want to see like more like core sets where, one every year we got something.
You like corsets?
Classic set. Yeah, corsets. I like corsets.
More corsets.
They do wonder for his figure, especially when he's trying to pull off those Ugg boots. I mean,
no, but I mean, like, I want to see rotating in the classic set as well because it's kind of like, it's annoying that forever and ever you'll always be like, what am I going to do this? Oh, I'm going to play Acolyte of Pain. Like, that's always going to be the thing for that, right? And there's always going to be this for that, and blah blah blah, blah. Like I do get when people are like, oh man, did you see that people are playing Blood Knight? And I'm like, oh, that card from 6 years ago? That's not cool to me that people are suddenly playing a 6-year-old card. Like, to me, that doesn't do much, right? But I do get why mages should always have Fireball. You know what I mean? Like, that makes sense. But at a certain point, it's like, come on, man. Get rid of these damn cards. That's the sameness when we talk about the decks never changing. It's because these cards are never going to change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And at the very top, Dills, we kind of came out in defense of a lot of the news that are in this update. This is kind of what I'm pointing to, where I wasn't saying it was bad news. I was just altering the bumper because of the tournament thing we're just about to get into. But this also, while I like the precedence this sets, this is extremely boring in terms of how it's actually going to affect our games. It's not going to. We're going to see no difference in Hearthstone as a result of these cards.
No, these 4 cards I don't think are the important part of this piece of news. It's just the fact that they are doing this, which is interesting, and I think a good step forward for a team who seem to really be hamstringing themselves and tying themselves to an expansion cycle or that kind of thing to release new cards. And this is different for them, and I think a step in the right direction, even if these 4 cards are not going to make any kind of impact. It means that there is the potential later on for them to actually do things of impact off of our standard year cycle, which I think is good.
Yeah, which I hope is what happens. But like in the wording for this, they say we were thinking about new players when designing these cards. Stop doing that in the future. Is my is my hope. Think about everybody. and still add new cards. That's what I would like to see.
There's a lot of cards that I think they're getting a little long in the tooth, right?
Druid, all of it, just all of it to Hall of Fame.
Like it's there's certain cards I get, but then there's like certain cards where like Hachikuma in the chat, turn 1 Mana Worm, turn 2 Apprentice, Arcane Intellect. Like Mage is always going to be built around this, right?
Yeah,
as long as those cards are there. So
yep. Speaking of new players, their experience will be greatly improving because ranks 50 through 26 are getting added to the game. We're
not at the bottom anymore, you guys. We're like halfway decent.
We're in the middle.
We're in the middle of the pack now.
The Angry Chicken is now ranked 25, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So ranks 50 through 26 will be for new players only. You can only get into rank 50 if you have just started playing Hearthstone. You cannot lose stars between rank 50 and 26, and you cannot go back into rank 26 once you have reached rank 25. Once you have hit rank 25, sorry, you cannot go back to the safety blanket of the new player ranks.
Did they say if these ranks have 5 stars each, like our normal ranks? Because that seems like a lot of stars.
Yeah, but you never lose stars, and you're playing against other players with not a lot of cards. So I feel like you'll probably move through it fairly quickly, and you'll be having more fun. So because you won't be playing against complete meta decks at rank 25 anymore, and that's good. This is a good idea. This is like, okay, take the new players out of the damn pool. Okay,
Yeah.
Let them all play with each other for a while, so they feel like they're better at understanding how the game works. They can make positive trades and things like that. But until then, yeah, don't force them to play some guy who just doesn't play that much but has a bunch of cards and sits at rank 25 all the time.
And the other interesting thing they did say as well is that even if you're like starting a new account or something, you can opt out of this. So you don't have to go into 50 to 26 on every new account. You can say, oh no, I'm actually just creating a new account. I don't need to go there. Put me straight into 25.
I'm going to create a new account though, just to get a sense of how this feels.
Yeah.
I want to see what this is like. Like if, what are the decks I'm going to be playing against at rank 50? I'm very curious.
Yeah. Get on one of your free to play. Well, I guess you play on
those
all
are
the servers.
Not new accounts.
Yeah,
anymore.
you're gonna have to.
I have to create a brand spanking new one.
It should have like a thing. Just I would like it to look at your collection and go, you know what? I'm giving you permission to go to rank 50.
Yeah, right.
You clearly have a rank 50 collection.
By the way, if they're letting us skip ranks 50 through 26, I think they should also let us skip the damn tutorial.
Oh, yes.
Yes, 100%.
You know.
They need a big old skip tutorial button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, hey, I did this already. I don't want to fight Millhouse Manastorm anymore.
Yep.
Just
All right.
saying.
All right, let's get to the big bullet point for this episode, which is in-game tournaments. Gone, no longer being worked on, no plans for the future.
To be honest, I was almost expecting something along these lines, or at least a delay, because they said we'd have a beta in the summer and it's halfway through September. I feel like we even talked about this a couple weeks ago, basically saying, WTF, where's our tournament beta? Mm-hmm. So the fact that we had heard absolutely nothing about it since they first announced it, I'm like, this feels bad. There's something's going on here. Brace yourselves.
Let me spin this to you guys so that it's not the worst news ever.
I think I know what you're going to say, and I think we're probably on the same page.
Before you start, do I have permission to act like a 5-year-old and blow raspberries all through anything you say?
I mean, if you feel like it, sure.
Okay.
You do you, Garrett. You do you.
Yeah, but they didn't just say tournament mode isn't the thing we're going to do, and it sucks, and we don't want to do it, and screw it, we're never touching any ever again. What they said was what we were working on wasn't right, and it wasn't the thing that was going to make the players happy. So we need to figure out the right way to approach this, and then we can actually make the correct version of tournament mode. To me, that's what it said. Like, it didn't say, no, kicking it to the curb, we're never going to do that. So,
well, they did say no plans
for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there's not a single person working on this. That means like we're not going to make an announcement here that we then have to go back on later, right?
It kind of seems like there was only ever a single person working on this.
Sure. And look, I'm with you. There's some doom and gloom here for sure. The fact that we're not getting anything at all is a big deal to me. But the thing is like we were very critical of what they had announced as the tournament mode. And for good reason.
It was hot garbage. It was hot
a super stripped down piece of crap. Yeah, exactly. I don't want that. If that's what we're gonna get stuck with, like I want the goods, man. Like give me the goods, bro.
But then, I mean, you have to admit the fact that they announced a stripped down piece of crap as their in-game tournament mode.
Yeah.
Like that's the big problem here. The fact that their super crap mode ended up getting canned isn't even really the story. It's the fact that they thought a super crap mode would fly in the first place. After how long have we been doing this show? Like we've been calling for tournament mode since literally the Angry Chicken Invitational that we ran when all the players had to record their games and send us the videos and we had to cobble it all together. And then it was weeks old after a patch by the time we finally got it out. That's when we started calling for tournament mode. And God, wasn't that even still beta? Come on, guys.
Yes. Yes. That's what this is.
Years in.
Like I am no like it's goes beyond just a critique of what they announced as being bad. It's a loss of faith in the team at this point. I'm tired. I am exhausted, and I'm at a loss for words to describe my disappointment in the inability of Hearthstone to grow and change at a rate that is even remotely acceptable.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like
our cards.
My entire thing was like, I have to spin this hard for this to be at all positive. It's not. It's not positive.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah, like
but like if this ends up getting us a real, actual, honest to goodness, viable tournament mode and a real client that can then be used by the friggin' HCT and can be used by us, it can be used by anybody who wants to put a damn. Like I want to be able to run the DHL through this thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to ever touch Battlefy ever again.
Yeah.
And it is ridiculous that somehow this is impossible for them to do. Because I know for a fact that it's not, because other games are freaking doing it right now. And that is stupid. So I'm sorry. This is stupid. And don't talk to us like we're stupid. But at least this didn't feel like I was being talked to like I'm stupid. This was like, yeah, we didn't do it right. It wasn't going to be right. The first time they announced it, I was like, come on, seriously? Like, you don't even know if you're going to have bans. Like, really? Like, that was... I also feel like, and some people were saying in the chat, a lot of people left Team 5 recently.
Yeah.
Maybe some of those people had something to do with the tournament mode. And suddenly it's got dropped in a new person's lap, and they want to take it in their own direction. I mean, I remember when I worked...
Okay, so you keep talking about like the new direction and how, you know, this might be the way that we get something that is actually going to be usable. But literally the announcement is, as a result, while we want to revisit in-game tournaments at a later date, the feature's on hold for the foreseeable future, which means nobody's looking at this. Nobody's seeing how they went wrong. No one's working on making it right. They're just dropping it like the hot bag of garbage.
Doesn't necessarily mean that. I've written
at this point in time
like this. No, I've written copy like this while an engineer was actively working on a thing. Like, it's just a thing you have to say as the company.
That's fine.
Because,
my point is, with the history of the team and the speed at which they work,
sure,
that when that copy is put down, when you write those words and put it to a blog post, my reaction is, cool. I'll probably be playing a different game by the time this actually comes to this game.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't. It's compounding a lot of like little chips at the foundation of my faith in this game that have built up over the course of 5 years. And it just makes me sad, really. It just kind of bums me out, because I think back to when this show started in beta and all of our wide-eyed fascination with this game and what it could become, and it's essentially the same game today that it was then.
Oh yeah.
Every button you press in this game is more or less the same experience with some minor differences. It is randomly assigning you another player to play a best of one, whether it's standard, wild, arena, doesn't matter. And the fact that we haven't received meaningful feature-rich content updates in 5 years of this game, and seeing news like this just boggles my mind. I don't understand it. And that's why I don't get too excited about new player experience updates. Like, it's great. It's good for the game. The game needs it. Yes. But at a certain point, I got to be a little brat. I got to sit here being, I've been playing this game for 5 years. Where's the new shit for me?
Yeah, where's my update? Why am I not on the same level as the new player experience? For sure.
And
I mean, your update is 130 cards every 4 months.
Congratulations. It's a card game. That's a bare minimum you have to do to make anyone give a crap.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true. I think, you know, Magic has the advantage of that's really all they have to do, right? Because then you take the cards and do whatever you want with it, right? When you're loading through their client and you have to go like play by their rules every single freaking time, it limits what you can do. And the creativity of a card game is one of the biggest draws of a card game, right?
Yeah.
You
put it
weird, different stuff. Mm-hmm. What you want to be able to do. And we're limited so much because every game it's like, here's your 30 life, here's your 3 cards or 4 cards, here's your coin, here's your 1 mana this turn, 2 mana this turn, and then it's like go, and you just do that forever and ever, and eventually you're like, can I do something different, please? You know, and that's absolutely the case, and they need to recognize that because right now I'm in Magic the Gathering Arena, friggin' beta, and there's 20 formats, and they're rotating all the time. And I log in and I'm like, do I want to draft Dominaria? Do I want to draft Core Set? Do I want to do this? Like, I can do all that already. It's beta. 6 games or 6 years later. Like, what can I do? Oh, Tavern Brawl 3 days a week. Cool.
Right. And I expressed my frustration on Twitter earlier. I've gotten a lot of replies, you know, at least in my circle, which makes sense. It's going to be biased. I'm assuming if you follow me, you probably agree with at least one thing that has left my mouth in the years of doing podcasts. But you know, the thing I saw multiple times is that, hey, they're really leaving the door open for competitors here, and it's to respect Hearthstone, to add any type of yin to my rage yang that I just put out into the universe. It's that the Hearthstone has set the bar to a monumental height for your moment to moment gameplay. Just the way the game feels, you know, playing one card to the next. No other card game has given me that. Magic the Gathering Arena, I've played it. It's great. I'm looking very forward to it actually going live and my friends getting into it. But just playing the cards, it's not quite there. It's not as good as Hearthstone. But as far as a bar for features and ways to play the game, there isn't one for Hearthstone. It's very low. And any competitor can come in here and show them how it's done. And it's already happening in a game that's in beta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's an interesting point being made in chat, which is that Hearthstone may have just decided this is what we do. We do this thing. This is the game you can play for 20 minutes while you're on the toilet at work. And we don't need to make a bunch of features. If you want to scratch your competitive itch, you will go do it another game.
Go play another game, yeah.
And that might be the way that they go. And if they do, okay, you're going to lose a fairly substantial chunk, I think. And eventually they will probably have to decide to do something different about it. But the disappointing part to me is that Hearthstone can still be that and give us the things that we want and need, right? That will make us play this game in 20 years, right? Or you know somebody who plays Magic, they've played it since the friggin' first set was printed, and they're still playing today, and they still love it, and they've shaped their whole life around it. Hearthstone could be that for people if they did these things, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, to me, I'm like, that's just short-sighted as a company to say, this is our niche, this is what we do.
Yeah, we just are the casual game.
And I've met these people who work at Team 5, and I don't think they're short-sighted people. So it's hard for me to believe that they just don't care. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to believe that because I've seen them and I've talked to them, and they very much seem like they care. So I just feel like there's something else. There's something going on here that we aren't privy to. And like we've talked to Dean. Dean's a smart guy, right? If the meta was a problem, like Dean would say it. Like that's the way I feel. I feel like he would. And to me, like that's why I feel like this is probably them not wanting to put out a hot piece of garbage as tournament mode and wanting to put out a better version of it.
Yeah,
and just understanding that we don't have it, we're not close to that. We have to, like, if they didn't say anything about it and then it just never came out, I think that would piss me off even more than at least telling me like, hey, this isn't working. We're going to table it right now. So I don't know. You know, I'm with you guys on all of it. I just choose to look at things like from a perspective of like
in an optimistic way.
Yeah, like I feel like there are good things coming out of this game and they're not happening fast enough. That's for damn sure. And I'm going to be critical of that. But I'm also, I don't know, man. I had a blast playing Hearthstone last night. I played Hearthstone the other day, then played WoW, and then wanted to go play Hearthstone again. Like, to me, Hearthstone is still this amazing game that if you go in and you play and you just go in and you just try to have fun, try to, like, figure out the best thing, it's awesome. I watched a bunch of HCT this weekend, and there was some games where I was like, what? Oh, my God. And, like, I don't get that feeling watching, you know, and many other esports, even like the ones where people go nuts, like Overwatch and, you know, obviously StarCraft is like this completely different experience. But, you know, that's the kind of experience I was getting from that. If I watch a Magic tournament, it's everyone's just kind of like, oh, is he going to get this top deck? Oh, it is. It's the top deck. It kills the thing. Like Hearthstone is like, he's building zombies and stuff and coming back from unwinnable situations. Like it's still this amazing game. So it's like, man, they just please don't lose players like you guys because you won't put out stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, that's the saddest thing to me is that we might lose the play. Like, players are on the fence right now, and they shouldn't be. This should be the friggin' awesome game that it was when we started the show. And it's losing people right now, I think.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, at least in my circles, a lot of my RL friends, like real life Hearthstone friends, aren't there anymore. And it's just odd.
I also want to point out that if you like go to Twitch and you look at games like Hearthstone card games, it's Hearthstone, right? Like still that game at the top. And yes, there's Fortnite and yes, there's blah, blah, blah. But digital card games, like Gwent isn't the third game on Twitch right now that people are watching. So, and we'll see.
Have you played Gwent?
I'm really curious to know though, how much of that is because we have some very charismatic streamers who have been able to build up a brand around Hearthstone because of the type of game that Hearthstone is. They can have interaction with the chat, which is really hard to do when you're doing something like Heroes of the Storm or, you know, Fortnite, you know, anything that's a little bit of a faster game. So how many of those people are watching because they think Hearthstone's a really cool, fun game, or how many people are watching because it's Toast or Dog or Savitz or Hafu, you know? I tend to think it's probably for the streamer personality more so than
I think it's a combination. I don't think we can boil it down to it's just Hafu, right?
I mean, I would put forward that it's just a better game than Gwent by a landslide victory. That's
sure.
why Gwent isn't.
Saying, like, I don't, and you know, MTG Arena though, like Magic is, I think, the best card game that's ever been made. It just is, right? And they're not overtaking Hearthstone. So if like the card game quality is the thing, yeah, but I think Hearthstone is just an inherently watchable game, streamer or no, right? Like a lot of streamers, you know, Crip built his audience playing Diablo and gets way more viewers playing Hearthstone than he ever got playing Diablo, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like he switched to the game for a reason, and it's because it's a game that people want to watch, you know.
No, I
and
agree
a lot of these
that's
streamers,
true.
Nobody knew who Savitz was before Hearthstone. So yeah, he is an entertaining personality, but nobody wanted to watch him when he wasn't playing Hearthstone, you know? It wasn't like, you know, Trump, Raynad, all these guys came up because of Hearthstone. So like Hearthstone is the catalyst here.
Oh,
I'm sure. Streamer's personality is a big part of it too.
I do agree, but I'm just saying I think that a lot of the numbers in Hearthstone have hung on because those personalities are still playing the game.
Sure.
To a certain degree, yes. I think where I really agree with you is on the esports. Like it's very good right now. But in that's also not necessarily about tournament mode. Although I could keep this going for the rest of the episode about how this could tie in to a better overall competitive experience for Hearthstone. but there's still a lot to talk about. So I'll just leave it there for right now and say, you're more than aware of our take on all of this. There were a few other updates in this post. One is that for as far as firesides are concerned, innkeepers are now going to be able to choose one unique tavern brawl for attendees to play from a list of tavern brawls, and in addition to the monthly rotating fireside brawl from Blizzard.
This is just cool.
Yeah.
Yes, very cool.
Makes fireside gatherings a little more interesting to attend. It may, if it's an exclusive fireside only type of thing, maybe this gets more people to come out to them. I also think that they need to tie in some rewards to firesides to really get people to do it. The whole pre-release thing was pretty cool, but not, I don't know, like it didn't quite make the juices flow the same way like a Magic pre-release does, you know? There's a lot that can still be done with it. For sure.
Yeah, I was
Gotta
really
get those juices flowing.
Gotta get my juices flowing.
I was really mad that I couldn't go. I couldn't make it to that weekend, and then I heard almost no buzz about it aside from you, Dills. Like it didn't seem like
there
I
was
missed
enough
much.
of them for sure. But yeah, it's a good concept that needs to be fleshed out.
Yeah,
and I think offering, like, you need to offer some rewards and some stuff that you can't, like the Nimsy thing that got a ton of people to go out fireside gatherings, so they need to tie in more rewards. Like if you could earn card backs or packs, excuse me, by like going to firesides, oh man would people go to firesides.
it'd be good. And it works. Just iron out the tech issues like with Nemsy.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, that whole golden pack thing? What if, like, if you went to a fireside, once a month you could earn a golden pack by going to a fireside?
That'd be super
I think that a
cool.
lot of people would go to firesides for that.
I'd be
Yeah.
so into that. 12 golden packs a year. Come on, that's realistic. That's fine.
That's not a lot. That's not going to break your bank.
They can give away 12 golden packs a year. Be all right. Anyway, speaking of packs, the welcome bundle's coming back, but this time with guaranteed dragon legendaries from the classic set. And a new paladin hero is coming, Sir Anoyo, which, Dills, you're wrong. This is the greatest thing in this entire post.
This is the best part. Yeah.
This is so good. I need this hero.
This is the only thing I did not care about at all. Yeah, okay. Heroes.
I'm on the opposite. I love this hero and need it in my life right now.
People in chat are talking about GPS hacking for firesides. They've actually done a lot about that. You have to be on like the same Wi-Fi network and everything now too. So
Yeah,
I don't think that works anymore, guys.
I think they've addressed that, and
There's been a lot of improvements
Yeah.
as far as the firesides go.
and I just really want to nail it home. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm very excited about Sir Anoyo.
All right.
So, anyways, before we move on to more news, let's just take a break because we're already quite a bit into the episode and thank one of our sponsors today, Green Chef, which you can check out by going to greenchef.us/TAC. If you're unfamiliar with them, Green Chef, they are the first USDA certified organic meal kit delivery service, and it includes everything you need to cook delicious gourmet meals that you can feel good about. I'm a big fan. I've really enjoyed my Green Chefs. Recently, they sent an Asian chicken and noodle soup, and I was like, oh no, soup for dinner? I don't know, guys. And then I started assembling it, and it was like the most awesome ramen and the best bringing me back from like death's doorstep while I'm sick chicken soup, like combined. It was so hearty and stick to your ribs, and I loved it. It was so
I
good.
never understood that saying, stick to your ribs. Is that really what you want your food to do?
Yes, I
Yes.
do, because I'll tell you what, I don't want to feel, I don't want to be more aware of my meatless ribs when I'm done eating. I want to feel like they're full, they've got a little, plush to them, and I'm satisfied, Jocelyn. That's what I want.
It's one of the problems I always have when I try to do like a diet is that I don't feel full when I'm done eating. And then I'm like, I want to feel full. I want that full feeling.
Yeah, it was really good. Instead of like, chicken noodles, it had like pad thai noodles. It was awesome. It was so good.
Yeah.
Can't recommend it enough. But It's great. Green Chef is great. They think that dinner should be planned around your life, not the other way around. They have expert chefs that design recipes with gourmet flavor you typically only find in restaurants. The recipes are quick and easy with step-by-step instructions, chef tips, and my favorite, pictures, so that it guides you through the whole process. And they have plenty of meal plans to choose from. They have paleo, vegan, vegetarian, keto, gluten-free, omnivore, and my favorite, carnivore. I make T-Rex noises when I eat out of that box.
This makes me really want to try to do paleo again, because that was my problem there too, is that I'd go to the store and I'd be like, okay, paleo stuff are nuts and berries and meat and all this. And then I'd be like, but look at those cookies.
I think you're going to
take
say...
me out of the store, period. Don't let me see that there's cookies there. Just send it to me. Sans cookies. And then I can do it.
I love that that's the direction you took that. I thought you were going to say it's too hard to find all of the things to stay on a paleo
the problem
diet.
is that there's other stuff that's not paleo right in front of me. And then when I'm like checking out, there's like, oh, and by the way, candy. Do you like candy? I'm like, yes, I do.
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Temptation. I'll take some of this. Anyways, if that sounds good to you and you want to check them out, you can get $50 off your first box of Green Chef by going to greenchef.us/TAC. Again, that is greenchef.us/TAC for $50 off your first box of Green Chef. And we thank them for their support. Do you guys like Frozen Throne? Do you wish we could go zap back to next year or last year?
Oh my God, there's this new too. I forgot about this.
Yeah. Do you guys like? Were you just thinking like, man, Frozen Throne was great? Do you remember?
We have no time for anything but news today.
Yeah. You want to go back in time and revisit the Frozen Throne? Well, I've got news for you. Starting tomorrow and running through the 23rd, Days of the Frozen Throne begin, and it's kind of an anniversary celebration of the release of the Frozen Throne expansion for Hearthstone, and with it will come the Death Knight Duels Tavern Brawl, and in this brawl we'll get to start as Death Knights and battle it out with pre-built Frozen Throne decks. You know, there's no having to find your Death Knight, get to enough mana to cast your Death Knight. You just slam Hunter, get Rexar because he's the best Death Knight, and get to playing.
Whee! Sounds fun.
I like all the gold.
Yes, there's a lot of gold up for grabs. 600 gold is up for grabs over 2 sequential special quests that are each going to give you 300 gold. So
do we know what these are yet? Do they say anything about them, or are they
not
just
in the blog?
Okay, but 2 quests for 600 gold. I mean, do 2 quests, you get 6 packs. That's
super doable.
Fantastic. Really good. And then
also
also
free golden happy ghoul.
Yep. And then if you want to spend some money, they're going to be having what they call the Bundle Up Bundle, which is 30 Knights of the Frozen Throne card packs for a special price. I didn't see the price in the blog itself, but I'm sure we'll all log in.
Special.
Which usually means
special. I'm guessing it's probably like $29.99 or
I was
something.
going to say 30 packs for $30.
Yeah.
cheaper than usual. So check it out. I'm going to get my 600 gold. That's definitely happening.
Yeah, I might actually buy this bundle on my EU account, which is my semi-free to play account. Because I've actually bought in like the bundles. Every time they've had a bundle, I bought it on that account.
Well, and you can rebuy the classic bundle too that we talked about a couple
That's
of
true, yeah. But like on my my Asia account, I've literally never spent a single dime. So that's like that's my hardcore account. EU one is like, you can kind of make some decks. It's fun.
Yeah. And then there's just a whole lot of HCT going on and about to kick off because we're here. We're at the fall finals.
It's like 2 weeks from now, isn't it?
Yes, starts October 11th. No, okay. Actually, it's
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, China just wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a 3-week break. Yeah, we'll see if the meta changes at all. But yeah, we just finished the America's Fall playoffs. So we have our top 4 from that. Spoilers ahead. If you're, for some reason, listening to this while maybe watching VODs on mute, I don't know. Run away now. But Just Saying, Bloody Face, Ingwaj Hacker, and Tincho.
It's Language Hacker.
He just skipped some
vowels, but not all the vowels. Yeah.
That's weird which ones he skipped to.
Yeah.
So he's the one he beat Purple too, right? Purple was in the decider against him. So Purple started that tournament 5-0, then lost twice, then lost to Just Saying, then won, then lost to Language Hacker. It was like man, he started so
roller
hot. I was
coaster.
like,
Yeah, roller coaster of emotions there.
I thought he was going to cruise on in there. And by the way, he would have been, they were talking about this, he would have been like the only person to have made it 3 times if he were able to get through the next phase and make it to BlizzCon. That would have been quite a feather in the cap there. Although I'm sure somebody's going to get their 3rd time because there's a lot of 2-timers right now. But Just Saying is on an absolute friggin' tear. I think, did he go undefeated the entire tournament?
0 losses. Yes.
So,
Yeah, he didn't lose. He didn't lose in Swiss. So then he just won twice once he got to the playoffs. Wow, damn.
Yep. Yeah, his record is 7-0.
Crazy. Yeah, he won DreamHack. Then he just next week, the week after, he's like, yeah, I'm also just gonna cruise right on through the best players in the world.
In a different format too.
Playoff.
Last year,
Yeah, exactly.
Conquest. Yep.
Oh God, that's a really good point. And wouldn't it be cool if he also like had some high placement in a wild tournament? I'm just throwing that out there.
Sure. Or like a sealed tournament, and you're like, well, he's the best overall player in Hearthstone.
Oh,
Imagine that.
Oh, a sealed tournament would be so good. Don't. No.
Cool.
Anyways.
One thing I was super sad about, though, is that there were 3 Canadians in the bracket with Just Saying, and there were no Canadians in the other bracket just because of the way that the seating worked out. So,
it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, Language Hacker was the only
anti-Canadian conspiracy.
No.
Yeah. Look, we're not letting you come through to our country if you smoke pot anymore, and we're not letting you win our
right?
tournaments.
I'm just never going to the States again.
I'm sorry, did I miss something?
Oh, you didn't hear about that? Donald Trump doesn't want pot-smoking Canadians.
No, for God's sake.
It's legal here now.
Oh,
or
I didn't
will
know
be
that. I thought maybe a player was detained for marijuana, which would have been. I didn't realize.
No, they're detaining our whole country now.
This is
Do
becoming
you
political.
think that weed would be a performance-enhancing drug in Hearthstone? It might be. You really get the focus, you know?
It would be a performance-enhancing drug in me on this episode and my overall demeanor.
But yeah, only 1 Canadian made it through because 3 of them were in Group A and none of them were in Group B, and that made me real sad.
That's unfortunate.
Yep.
So, Language Hacker is the only Canadian in the finals?
Yes, but he's another player that has had some really, really good showings this season. When he beat Purple, I wasn't really surprised. Like, Purple's an amazing player, and I've followed him the whole time, and he's like, I am yay Team Purple, but if anyone had to beat him out, I'm glad it was Language Hacker because he's had a really, really good year.
Oh yeah, I just pulled up his, wow, okay.
Yeah, and I think he came up through the TESPA system, so it's actually really interesting to see like the college level TESPA stuff feeding into now the pro play at HCT. So at least that's one competitive system that's working.
Yeah. So it's we got a few weeks before the finals, but we have all of our finalists, and apparently it's going to be group stage, and the brackets will be comprised of 1 player from each region. So we will be actually, it's not even less likely. What happened to the poor Canadian players against Just Saying will not happen, at least in the finals, although there is only 1 Canadian player in the finals.
Yeah. But yeah, he won't get knocked out by Just Saying because they won't be in the same groups. So single elimination playoffs, though, which
damn.
Yeah, I hate to see single elimination playoffs. It just always feels so bad. I wish it was double.
When you get this far, this is the one time you will hear me say, hey, can we have some more Hearthstone?
Yeah.
Some more competitive, more games to watch, please?
You only got 16 players. You can do double elimination.
Yeah, yep.
Bummer.
Should be good Hearthstone to watch, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should be. There's a long enough break. Maybe the meta will shift a little bit, or maybe these players will surprise us. Maybe they're going to all sit on some big secrets before the tournament and then reshape the meta in real time.
There was change. Like, there's been every single tournament now, we've seen a lot of like shifting as it's gone on. Like, there was nobody bringing Secret Hunter a month ago, you know what I mean? And this tournament had a ton of it. It was kind of struggling there at the end, but Just Saying had one. So, it's that's definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, there are some shakeups and some changes, and as you see what happens that's really good in Conquest Tournament A, then when Conquest Tournament B comes around, people are like, okay, is it going to be the same? Or are they trying to, find the counter to the winning lineup from the last tournament? Like, tournament meta does shift quite often. Given the fact that we have so many viable decks right now, you actually do have room to come up with different strategies. So we have seen a lot of like movement in the tournament meta over the last few months. So I think it'll be a different meta, I think, and it's going to be a really good Hearthstone to watch, I think.
So the most popular deck was even Warlock in this tournament, Quest Rogue behind it, and Token Druid. So those are the 3 most popular decks. But then there was like somebody brought friggin' OTK Paladin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody brought Megathune Priest. Somebody brought, there's all sorts of weird stuff still going on. So I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Inferoga in the chat room brings up a good point. A lot of good players were eliminated very early on in the Swiss stage, because I was checking that earlier. I was like, I could have sworn Frozen was going to this tournament, and then I checked the stats, and he's did not place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He basically just got rolled over.
Yeah, but he's in good company, like Killing All Day, Frozen, Ike, Zalay, Firebat, Sidonia, all with just got knocked out.
Yeah.
Yep. There's like Strife Crow in there too. There's all sorts of players. Yeah.
Race.
Yeah, I think Strife Crow placed, but we didn't have a particularly great record. Some interesting stuff. We'll talk a little bit about it more over the strategy hump, but let's check in with Arena real fast, because Dilge brought to my attention that a streamer called Educated Collins got 12 wins in Arena 7 times in a row.
7 times in a row. Yeah. So Educated Collins is not a super huge streamer. But he's been around for a while. I think he's like quit and come back a few times, but pure Arena streamer. A lot of Arena players know him and stuff. And I think this might be a first.
A new record.
I can't believe that somebody's done this before. He was like 12-0 on some of these runs too. But yeah, 12 wins 7 times in a row. All of it on stream. And then, yeah, it's crazy. So if you are someone who wants to get better at Arena, maybe check out his stream, because apparently he knows something we don't. And he's freaking amazing at Arena. So yeah, big props to him, man. That's very, very cool.
We've got a link in the show notes, and big thanks to Reddit Josh for putting this on our Hearthstone and linking to the YouTube video if you want to go and watch this for yourself. That's just ridiculous. My lord.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. Before we move into strategy and talk about the decks that were on display at HCT, the America's Fall Playoffs, let's thank our other sponsor today, Harry's. They are back to sponsor this episode of The Angry Chicken. They are our longest running sponsor of the Angry Chicken, even though sometimes I don't talk good. So
they always shave good, though.
Yep.
They do always shave good, and they didn't tell us to start talking about this, but they sent me some soap and body wash recently, and it's amazing.
It's so good. Yeah, it's like I immediately like went and took a shower the next morning with their stuff, and I was like, I'm ordering this now. I don't even care about it. Like I'm a fan of my soap. I like, I've like heavily, I've done some research on the best soap for my delicate skin. Yeah. And I think I might actually switch it up now. I might just be using their stuff from here on out.
I am not typically a fan of body wash, as I feel it makes me smell like someone trying to cover up illicit college activities. But their body wash makes me smell like an adult, a clean adult, and I like it. It's good. You should check it out. But you should also check out the razors, because the razors are great. They're affordable. You can keep, ready, sharp, ready to shave razors coming to your doorstep, because they are high quality and yet affordable. And you can check out their offerings by going over to harrys.com/TAC. All 3 of us have been converted to Harry's razors, whether it's our face, back, or legs. You can decide which host I'm talking about there. It's on you.
It's Garrett. Garrett shaves his legs. He lives in Florida and hates the sand in his hair.
Actually, the answer is all 3 for me. Yes. All of it. All of it. It all goes except for the face. But for listeners of our show, you can redeem your trial set by going to harrys.com/TAC. That means you get a 5-blade razor, a weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover just by going to harrys.com/TAC. And you'll support the Angry Chicken in the process, and you'll get a great shave, no matter what part of yourself you're shaving. And on top of all of that, there's a quality guarantee. If you don't love your shave, you can let Harry's know within 30 days, and they will give you a full refund. So go check them out, harrys.com/TAC. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for going to that link. And now, let's talk some HCT decks.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
So, as you were saying, Dills, there was quite the spread of archetypes across the board in the America's playoffs this past weekend.
Yeah, no, there was a bunch of different decks. There was a lot of really, really interesting games as well. And, oh, man, now I'm trying to remember what the players were. We had one of the craziest games I've ever seen. And it was a Shutterwalk Shaman versus... Ooh, I can't remember now. But anyway, I highly recommend you go. If you haven't watched this stuff, go check it out. This is some of the craziest Hearthstone games I've seen probably ever. Tincho had an amazing game with Secret Hunter, which is supposed to be an aggro deck, and yet he somehow went to Fatigue and won just because of Deathstalker Rexar against Q-Block, where there was no freaking way he was supposed to win the game.
Yeah,
And,
that bloat bat, man.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, bloat bat with poisonous.
Ugh.
But
Gross.
it was insane how these players were able to navigate some of these situations. And this is one of the coolest things about watching these kind of games and the way Hearthstone is right now, its current tournament meta, is that there are constantly skill testing situations that have never come up in a game before, right? And there's no way the players have all the players practice, know all the situations, the ins and outs of turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Some of these games at this point are getting to these late game states where it's just I don't know what to do. Nobody knows what to do. And it's really interesting to watch them navigate it. So I highly recommend go watch some of the VODs here. And just like we said, just friggin' unbelievable run. He had Secret Hunter, Odd Rogue, Zulok, and Token Druid. So those are just, I think that's going to shape the tournament meta right now is what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is just so damn successful at the moment. And actually, let me pull up his decks here. There hasn't been a huge amount of change in some of these decks, but what is very cool is some of the tech choices that he's making. So in his Odd Rogue, Myra's Unstable Element, which a lot of players are running now, but
Yeah.
It's really interesting, why it's there. It's there's a lot of games where you just kind of fizzle out right at a certain point. You just need a little more damage, and then they just draw the rest of their deck and then find, Leroy or SI7 Agent or something like that. But he's also got King Mukla in his deck and Captain Greenskin. So he's definitely got some very interesting cards in his Odd Road deck. And I really do like the Mukla there, because one of the things that a lot of players are able to do is they're starting to be able to deal with the Hench Clan Thug. They're kind of, when a player plays against an Odd Rogue, they're setting themselves up to know that on turn 3, they'll have to be able to deal 4 damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Mukla is a 5/5, so they can't deal 5 damage. Right? They're ready for the 4/4. They ain't ready for the 5/5. So it's pretty interesting how that card, and I watched a game of his where he ended up dealing 20 damage with Mukla or something like that, and it just won him the game. So
Man, that's just
really
ridiculous.
interesting inclusion.
Yeah, I'm glad you shined the spotlight on him too, because Captain Greenskin I have seen in Odd Rogues before, but I have never seen Mukla in this deck.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one bringing Mukla. It was a thing that a few people had started doing. So kind of interesting. Also in his Spell Hunter, he had a lot of people had teched in Mossy Horror, and that wasn't very crazy, but I don't think anybody else was running the Bear Shark, the single Bear Shark. And he had a couple games where he won based on the Bear Shark. They couldn't kill it.
And
right?
it's just a one of. It's another one of. I mean, Mukla has to be because of the legendary moniker,
Sure.
but Bear Shark, that's a decision to only include one of.
Yeah, and I remember a very distinct game where he got off to a quick start, and that's what the deck can do sometimes. But they were having to remove everything, but they couldn't get rid of that, and it just kept dealing damage, 4 damage a turn, you know. And I think it ended up dealing 12 or something, and he was able to win the game there. Not a lot going on in the zoo deck that we haven't seen. It's just the heal zoo deck, but you know, a single Blood Knight, I guess, is the thing you could point to, which is, you know, that's a pretty common tech choice at this point. There's so many damn giggling inventors out there that, but also when you can Blood Knight, like in Odd Rogue, it's really cool because you can Blood Knight your own giggling or your own whatchamacallit,
Squires.
Squire. There you go. That's the one. Yeah. So you get a Squire and a 6/6, you know, and it's just pretty solid. So, and then the token Druid is kind of interesting right now because it has gone away from the Oaken Summons Violet Teacher build. That is no longer a thing, and now everyone's running Strong Shell Scavenger.
I like this tech a lot.
It's cool.
I'm actually running 2 in the token Druid that I was playing, and it works so well because you've got your spreading plagues and your giggling inventors and your floop to have even more giggling inventors and your Serenite chain gangs. Yeah, so a lot of the tokens that you're making now, with the exception of your wisps, tend to be taunts. So you can, you know, make a board of taunty tokens and then just make it huge with this one, 4-drop?
Yeah, it's a 4-mana 2/3, but it gives you taunt minions +2/+2, and it's not only like, you know, sometimes you use it just to kill the opponent, but sometimes it's like, okay, I just now can just trade up and keep my guys around. And it sets you up for success, right?
I'm so afraid that this is going to catch on, and I'm going to have to deal with buffed spreading plague boards.
It's already caught on, man.
It's there, man. Yeah.
This is the current version of Token Druid that's out there right now. I like his version too because I was running Zalay's version, which didn't have the Power of the Wild or the Spellstones, and I really think you need the Spellstones and the Power of the Wild. He had Tar Creepers in his list, and you know they're good, but the problem is that Druid tends to skip turn 3 quite a bit, and Tar Creeper always felt a little awkward in my hand when I was playing it. So yeah, I much prefer just mull heavily for Wild Growth, skip turn 3, and then start playing things like Serenite Chain Gang on forward stuff. So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing now because you used to think of Token Druid as like an aggro deck. Token Druid is now like a mid-range combo deck. You know, they don't really get going until the middle of the like turns 5, 6, 7, 8.
Which is your Druid turn 10.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, they get to those turns faster than everybody else, but they it's not like Token Druid used to just be like Firefly on 1, you know, and then just like start going off and just minion every turn. They just have nothing on the board, then all of a sudden, bam, like full board sticky minions. Yeah. It's a completely different style deck than it used to be. It's very interesting to play now.
His Zidlock is actually rather unique as well. Like everything, like you know, if you looked at it kind of in a quick rundown, you're just like, oh, ladder decks. But every single one of these has interesting kind of inclusions and omissions.
Sure, yeah. He's not running the Life Drinker. He's not running the Doubling Imp. It's a little more. It's not like as bursty with stats. It's a little more linear, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it has a little control with things like the Tar Creeper and the Despicable Dreadlord.
Yeah. Some people aren't even running that anymore, which is kind of interesting. And it's Zoo right now is in this place where you can kind of just build it the way you like. You know,
I love it.
There's so many possible cards you can put in it, and it's just everything. I mean, there's things you can't not have. You can't not have Fungal Mancer, right? You need Fungal Mancer in your Zoo deck. But there's a lot of interesting things you can do outside of that. So
I think it's a
fun time to do.
It's the heal package and Fungal Mancer are kind of required, and Soul Infusion.
But even then, Life Drinker was kind of part of that heal package because of the ghoul. So it's interesting to see that being taken out.
That is true. Yeah.
Well, oftentimes though, with the Life Drinker, it would kind of count as burst as well. But when you're Zoo, you're all about stats on the board, and when you pay 4 mana for a 3/3, if you don't have Happy Ghoul, it kind of sucks, right? So taking it out makes room for some other stuff. So I think it's kind of a cool tech.
Yeah, and he kept in the Voodoo Doctor and the Fungal Enchanter. So
yeah, Fungal Enchanter is like the best freaking card in this deck right now. There's so many games where I'd be playing against Zoo, and I'm like, all right, I'm I'm turning the tide of this board. And then they just fungal enchanter everything back up. Like they make a bunch of trades and then heal everything back up. And I'm like, oh man.
Yep.
And then they also buff a Lightwarden to like an 11-2 or something. Thought I was gonna win.
I had a game yesterday where I conceded on turn 4 because of Lightwarden. It was rough.
Yeah, Lightwarden though to me still is the way that a growing 1-drop should be, right? Like a 1/2 that grows when you do something very specific.
Yes. Yeah. I'm keeping my eyes on Secret Keeper still. But...
Sure. Secret Keeper can be, because the other thing too about Secret Keeper is it's buffed on either secret. So if you're in a mirror match and the opponent has a Secret Keeper and you don't, we actually saw that. Purple had a game, I think it was against Just Saying, where Just Saying dropped the Secret Keeper and Purple was like, but all I have are secrets.
Now I can't do my deck.
I can't do anything. He was just playing secrets into it. Like I still have to play my cards, you know? So I don't like cards like that where it's like the game got decided on turn 1. That's what Mana Worm does, I think. And with Zoo, oftentimes, Lightwarden is a threat. You got to kill it, but it's very killable as a 2 health minion.
Right.
Well, because its health never goes up, right? And that's the other thing with Secret Keeper is that its health goes up too. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep. Yeah. The chances that a Lightwarden runs away with the game are a lot lower than something like Secret Keeper or a Mana Worm. Yeah,
it's a snowbally card, but it's like very offensive and it's flimsy,
easily dealt
very
with.
offensive. I'm very offended right now.
I'm offended by you, Lightwarden.
Lightwarden comes down and says something about your mother. Yep, it's good stuff. But I wanted to mention the player Cheese. Because his lineup was absurd.
Oh yeah, Cheese was
and he finished 19th.
He wasn't last place.
he finished pretty freaking high. He brought Mechathune Warlock and Mechathune Warrior. His Paladin was an OTK Paladin.
And not even Beardo.
Not even Beardo. Yeah, I don't even know what this OTK Paladin is. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
So it's actually a thing now. What you do is you make a few guys. Is he? Oh, he's not even running that version though either.
Yeah.
How the hell does this work?
You can't explain this deck to me. Don't even try.
Well,
it's
okay.
like
So
I think he's not even trying to necessarily do the OTK. Maybe I think he's just like 2/2s are better than 1/1s.
Well, no, but no, he's got the stuff in it to do it. He's got the Zola and the Brewmasters.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The version that I was playing, because I tried this out for a little bit. When I was playing it, I was also running a single call to arms, because the idea is that you brew some of the tokens into your deck and then you call to arms them out. Right? So then you can like call to arms them out and then you hero power and it finishes.
Wait, how do you brew them into your deck?
Sorry, you baleful. I was baleful.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, brew goes back into your hand. Call to arms doesn't hand. So
you were balefuling them. So
right,
he's trying to brew them into his hand and then play them. And he's got the Zola. So I mean, the idea is it still kind of works, right? You brew one in, you brew another in, you Zola one. You got 3. You can play 3 of them out and then hero power the 4th one.
Hero power the 4th one. Yeah.
But I was doing the baleful call to arms thing. It was kind of cool. It was working somewhat. Sometimes though, like oftentimes the deck would win just by running aggro out of their stuff, right? Like it didn't necessarily win by actually killing you with the OTK all the time. The OTK was there for like control matchups. But it's kind of interesting. It's weird.
Yeah, because this one has Lunessa with a whole bunch of like spells. So it kind of almost seems like there's multiple win conditions with this one. Like it's not all in on the Uther plan.
Yeah. Does he even have the Pixie? He doesn't have the Pixie either.
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm so confused.
That's why I added this. That's why I added this, because I don't know.
All right. Well, I want to watch him play this. Did he ever play on stream?
I don't think so.
I went digging briefly and was not able to find anything. Sadly, if I didn't go too deep or spend too much time, but if anyone has a link to this deck being played on stream, please tweet it to TAC Podcast.
I need to. Okay, I gotta try this. I guess see if this actually ever works.
Yeah, please and thank you.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, check those out. All of the deck lists we're referencing here can be found over at HearthstoneTopDecks.com. So go take a look over at that website. They're also linked in our show notes. Head on over to amove.tv. Look for the episode 281 post. Sadly, I think that we're going to have to end it there. This was a meaty show.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a meaty show. We've talked a lot. We've been through quite the emotional journey, and it's time to bring it to an end. We would love to thank our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. If you enjoy the Angry Chicken, what we put out, and would like to support the show, check it out. Some of our newer patrons, thank you to Stefan S. and Chase M. Thank you for the support, you two. Also, huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Sean C., and LVE. Thank you very much. If you would like to rep the Angry Chicken, you can get an Angry Chicken t-shirt over at shirts.amove.tv. You can also get custom etched glassware, pint glasses and such over at etched.amove.tv. Go check it out. Other than that, join us live Tuesday nights. Well, technically nights. It depends on where in the world you are. It's 4 p.m. Eastern for myself over at twitch.tv/amovetv. Join us in the live chat. We had quite a few people in here today. I wonder why.
News.
But around the table before we leave, Dills, where can everybody find you?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills, and twitch.tv/Willie Dills is where you can find me playing Res Priest and all sorts of weird, wacky stuff.
Joss, what about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. You can also, I pretty much tweet out anytime there's new episodes of stuff that I'm doing. But if you're into Marvel and Spider-Man, we've been talking about that over on Gamers Inn. Really freaking awesome, fun game.
I want to play it so bad, but Red Dead's coming around, and I only have so much time for a long form console game.
It's so fun, dude. Oh my god, you don't even need fast travel because swinging is so fun.
It's on my Christmas list, a thing I have at the young age of 31, apparently. Really want to play it. Folks, you can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. All of the other podcasts that I do can be found at amove.tv. There'll be a new Into the Nexus on Thursday. Jocelyn and I are doing a new Embrace of Spoilers this week, kicking off kind of Halloween season with Goosebumps. And check out my solo show, R2T2, wherever podcasts can be found. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week for episode 282. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!